Redfall killed Arkane Studios. Sony's live services are falling one by one. Valve outed Dolphin? Man, this is a crazy week for news. What's going on, everyone? Tallen here with 5-9 Direct, joined by the awesome little Bobby, and subscribe to the channel so we can go to Disneyland, maybe? I don't know. We want to go somewhere with the team, but we need to hit that subscribe button. If you don't, then we can't go. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. As always, if you dislike the video, leave a dislike and let us know in the comments below how we can make our videos even better going forward. All right, let's get straight into the news right now. All right, if you've been living under a rock right now, then chances are you've probably seen the news about Redfall from Jason Schreier, and it's a lot of kind of what we expected, but at the same time, it's a sad tragedy of what is going on with game just teams and developers and studios and everything these days, because we've heard history repeat itself. Essentially, the magic will save this game. God, where did we hear that before, Bobby? It's on the tip of my tongue. Where did we hear that about magic? I can't think about it.
You know what? Say what you want. The other game that had the magic come in and save it was way better than Redfall. Everyone dogs on Anthem, and Anthem like had bones. Like, yeah, there was no content in Anthem, and BioWare magic did not save it at the end. But like it worked after like the first
at
like
least
week,
worked.
you know, like I could get it and play it and be Iron Man, and yeah, sure there was only like 4 missions you could do for the end game, but like you could do them and you could get gear and kit your character and stuff. Yeah, reading this article, I mean, we just did the video and put it out today.
Yeah, make sure you guys check it out if you want full details on exactly what we're talking about, because there's some extra details and goodies in there that we're not able to cover here today, but definitely check that video out. But it's just sad to read that.
I'm a huge Arkane fan, and especially Arkane Austin after Prey. Like I was telling Talon, I just got the 1 terabyte Steam Deck upgrade for my storage, and I'm probably gonna download Prey to play it again and like cry in the shower over the memory of Arkane Austin, because Prey is such a good game, and if you haven't played it, please play that game. Do not play Redfall because it's garbage. But yeah, they talked about how like 70% of the studio left, and you don't have the same studio after that.
No, I mean, anyone who thinks that, okay, just make Prey 2 or make this game or just, you know, do this now instead of trying to do this live service stuff, it doesn't matter at that point because the team is gone, right? It's very similar to what happened with, well, tons of different studios. I mean, one that I like to look back on right now is Battlefield, and how Battlefield really just went down and down after 1. And then with 2042, it's like, okay, look, they messed up with 2042. Now they just need to just go back and make, you know, Battlefield 4, you know, port 2 or something like that, or whatever you want to call it. But it's like, it doesn't matter though, because the team that made those games back in the day, those guys are gone. And look, we don't blame people for leaving studios and wanting to go do something new and try something different and everything. That happens all the time. But I think players just need to realize that just because the studio name is there doesn't mean the people who made the games back in the day, made those, you know, classics and everything, unfortunately, they're gone. They've moved on to different things. They've retired, you name it.
Yeah.
But also part of it is also on Zenimax and their total greed that is shown through this article and everything. It's kind of disgusting.
Yeah, Zenimax coming in and basically going like, hey, we're not going to force you, but you should really consider doing live service stuff where we can continuously make money off of a subpar product, because that is just the easy way for us to make money, and everyone's doing it right now. Zenimax, like you had, now Microsoft has a lot of different studios with a lot of different talents, and Arkane was not the studio to go, you guys should really be working on a live service, right? The big thing about Redfall, and I think we kind of all knew this in the back of our minds, is that like they confirmed that it was supposed to be a live service, and for the first 3 years of development had like a full microtransaction shop and everything, and it was only in mid 2021 that it got taken out, which is like by mid 2021 people were like, okay, we get it, we don't need everything to be a live service. And that's very important. But back to what you said about teams, Talon, right? Like that's true. Like with Battlefield, or like when we were talking to Toon on Toon Rami, friend of the channel, on Twitter, and he was talking about how he wanted Marathon to feel like Halo 3, and we both had to go, sorry, buddy. That ain't the same Bungie.
Probably not gonna happen.
That's not the same Bungie anymore. That hasn't been the same Bungie in a decade at least. The team makes the game, and it's with every creative outlet, right? So like the Beatles broke up, and then we had Wings and John Lennon and George Harrison, right? Creative people get the itch to just do something different, and game devs are creative people. Like there's artists and even the coders, like the combat designers, that is creative stuff. So that kind of thing happens. But when you see attrition of this rate this fast, there's no chance for that studio to recover and be anywhere near the same, at least for a decade. And that's pending they held on to higher ups that have clear creative vision, which again, part of the article was that did not exist on Redfall. So,
and it kind of is also telling when you see that the developers and that team wanted Microsoft to come in and axe the game. Like that to me personally was surprising, right? Generally, you don't hear that type of thing. We've heard these stories before where a game was like this at one point, turned into this, distress and everything, magic is used to finish the game and everything like that. But for the team to be like, oh please Microsoft / Xbox, cancel this game. That says it all right there. That was shocking to see.
When the devs aren't into it, you're not going to get a good product. It's the thing with creative people, right? Like I tried for a long time, but I can't just do things I'm not interested in as a musician. I just can't. I could easily write like lo-fi music or whatever and just put that out. But to me, that's not engaging. I don't feel like, and I'm not knocking it if someone wants to do that, but for me, that's not engaging to like my creative spirit, right? I know how to do it. I have the tools to do it. I just don't want to do it. So I'm not going to do it. The same thing is true for these game devs. They were like, well, we could do this, but like, we don't care. And because they didn't care, they didn't put any effort into it. And when they don't put any effort into it, the game kind of comes out that way. And then Microsoft bought Zenimax and didn't, and this is something I mentioned in the video, didn't step up and go, let us see this. Take one look at it and go, what's going on here? They just kind of were like, hey, don't make the PlayStation version anymore. Don't make that. But yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. We're not going to pay attention. Go ahead, do whatever you want. Like, but just no PlayStation. Okay, no, just make sure.
And I
no
get
PlayStation.
Wanting to make sure that the team can make the game that they want to make, right? Like not interfering, right? And that's something that Sony and I guess to some extent Xbox does too. But I think Xbox takes it a little too far because I think Sony, I mean, granted, we don't work there or anything, but I would imagine that they at least check and be like, hey guys, just want to kind of check in, see what it looks like and everything. Get a demo of it or however they look at it. And then after that, be like, okay, cool. You guys are looking good. We're going to step aside. You guys do what you need to do type of thing. Yeah. Right. But they're at least checking in and seeing how things are working, because I can tell from whether it's the smallest company like what we here have at 5.9 to the biggest ones ever. If you don't have somebody who is like the team leader and has like a goal and a focus, and then you have people just simply checking in, not trying to downgrade what you're doing or anything, but just checking in and making sure things are on track and everything, that makes all the difference. It seriously does. And I think I'm really hoping that Microsoft saying, yeah, we stepped in much earlier with Starfield is true, because if it's not, I'm still worried about that game. I seriously am.
What I think when Phil Spencer said that, what I think he meant was technically, like in terms of the technical, like they're like, oh, we have people to make sure it's gonna run at a solid 30 or 60 or whatever it comes out at.
It's 30.
In terms of it's probably gonna be 30, but it's in terms of game design, Microsoft's having nothing to do with that, and they clearly will not shut something down if they don't look at the game design. Right? Phil Spencer said, we saw Redfall. We thought it was going to score double digits higher than it did. And that was before it got to the 50s. That was when it was in the mid 60s.
I rolled my eyes at that so hard. I was like, you are kidding me that you thought this game was going to do 10 points plus higher.
Yeah.
There is no way you played this game thinking that. There is.
Here's the thing, right? We're both teachers, Talon. As teachers, even if I have your students are obviously all children, right? I have students of all ages. But if I have a student who, for whatever reason, just doesn't seem interested, I'm going to sit them down and go, what's going on? Are we lacking motivation? What's happening? Right? And I assume you do the same thing, because like you're the adult in the room. You're the leader in that scenario. And that's what you do. And I can't believe that Microsoft didn't do any of that here, which, I mean, like, sure, like, I'm not saying the blame lies solely on Microsoft. A lot of the blame goes to, I will say Zenimax. And I will also say the game directors. Like, those guys should have been like, yo, Zenimax, we cannot do this. Like, they said in the game, like, they have a team of less than 100 people. If you look at something like Destiny, like Apex Legends, like Fortnite, like those games have hundreds of people on them. because they require constant work.
That's
Tons
what a
of
live
work.
service requires. You need tons of people to be able to work on different things. It's not just simply game mechanics. It's also servers. It's also how things connect and everything.
Yeah,
You know,
it's like,
updating
like,
things, all that stuff.
Like you have to have a content pipeline, right? Like, and they clearly didn't have any of that. I honestly don't think they're going to get the 60 FPS patch for consoles. Like, there's not enough people playing.
I don't think they are. And the fact that they said like, oh yeah, we're going to continue to support this game and everything. And I'm like,
not a chance.
What team? What team are you going to support this?
There'll be like two people working on the game. And in like a year, we're going to hear like, oh, they finally...
They're going to join the Bungie guys.
Yeah, the Bungie Destiny 2 PvP interns, right? Now, exactly. me and Talon, you know, we talk a lot of shit about Destiny because like we're Destiny players. That's what Destiny players do. If you didn't know about this about Destiny 2, every Destiny 2 player talks shit about Destiny 2, right? It's like it's like when you know you've got that cousin who's kind of a fuck up, right? But like you love him because he's your cousin or she's your cousin, right? But they kind of drink too much, you know, or whatever. Yeah. But you love them, like they don't mean any ill will, right? And it's like with Bungie, it's like, you know, you love them, you love Destiny, but yeah, it's bad. Like sometimes they just do dumb stuff that's bad. But yeah, like, but Destiny is an example of a successful live service because they have developed over the years like the way to keep their content pipeline moving. They've talked about it several times, going like, we are working like 2 seasons ahead of wherever we're at all times, right? By the time they put an expansion out, a major expansion, they have the other one like halfway done. Like the next one is halfway done, right? So you have that, and that's what it takes to be a successful live service. And if you look at Epic and Fortnite, like that entire studio is just Fortnite. That is what Epic does.
It is. That's exactly what Epic is.
Fortnite.
Yes.
Right? And that's what you have to do for a live service. And unfortunately, Redfall just like it wanted to be a live service, and then the devs weren't into it, and then they finally realized, okay, live services are kind of falling out of favor right now, so like let's not make it a live service. So they start marketing it as, oh well, it's a co-op immersive sim, and it's like not an immersive sim at all. Like
it's not even close to that.
Sure, I can unlock a door or break a window to get into some place, but like that's it. Like, right? Like you do other immersive sim, like older games, even by Arkane, you know, you can convince someone to help you, or you can sneak in and assassinate this person, or you can just like sneak by everybody. Like there's so many different ways to engage in older Arkane stuff, and that's what made it great, and that's what made people love it. But they wanted to kind of cash in as a result of Zenimax going like, well, we haven't been selling a ton of your games, like a ton of copies of your games, so you need to make us some money, so make one of these live services so you can keep making us money. And it's just a shame.
It is. And speaking of live services and even bringing Bungie back into this mix a bit, we're starting to see now that even Sony's goal of wanting to do all these live service games and everything, which everyone is bashing them for, has now come out and basically said, yeah, so Bungie looked at Factions, the Naughty Dog multiplayer live service game, and basically Bungie's like, yeah, you might want to delay this. Like, it's that, like, not gonna work, essentially. And that is definitely, I'm guessing, a huge blow to not only Naughty Dog, but to Sony himself. And just like, I mean, if something like Redfall, right, has been made for the last 4 years before it was released, it started as a live service, and then by 2021, people are going like, okay, look, we're sick and tired of live services. And the next thing you know, you've got one of the big three, Sony, coming out going like, oh yeah, by the way, we're making like tons of live services for 2025. It's just like, did you not just see what we did over here? Like, what's going on here, Sony? And this is really making people nervous for Sony's live service games, because not only is Factions one of the big ones, the first party big ones now, who knows for how long delayed, if it's even going to happen at this point now. And then we've got their showcase thing that they had, which showed multiple live service stuff. It's just like, why aren't people getting this? What's going on? I understand things happen and then things change, and then it's like it takes time to change that stuff as well. But at the same time, it's like, why is something like this coming out so much later when this trend has already been dying, or not dying, but just simply going down in popularity for quite some time now? It really boggles the mind sometimes.
Yeah, I think the main thing is that we see that, but remember, right, when we talked about live services really publicly being like out of favor, it was definitely like early to mid 2021, right?
Right.
Where people were just like, okay, enough, we get it. Like, everyone wants to make a live service because you want to keep making money, but The long and short of it is people do not have time to play every live service, right? Like me and you play Destiny a lot, and that's basically the only live service I can keep up on. And I barely keep up on that anymore because I have a Steam Deck now, and I'm like, I can play on the couch or in bed, so I'm gonna play Octopath Traveler, and like I'm gonna replay Prey and like stuff on my Steam Deck or on my I've been playing Zelda on my Switch.
It's not even that. I mean, we have school, full-time jobs, a life, things like that. So we can't. So one live service is already hard for people. I mean, I would say most players, most gamers have 1 to 2 live services at the max.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you've got these studios coming out like, okay, by the way, here's 2 live services over here. Here's 2 over here. Here's 1 right in front of your face. And it's just like, okay, who are you going to get to play those games? Because now they're fighting each other for people's time, which is already limited. And now that, I mean, again, coming back to Sony, where they're just like, okay, we're going to have like 4 to 5 live service games. It's like, okay, so you are making your player base fight amongst each other or fight amongst time for these games. Like, because they're either going to be first party or they're going to be PlayStation and PC. They're not going on to Xbox, and we know they're not going to go on to Switch or anything.
Yeah.
So
except for Marathon, because that was part of Marathon, their deal with Bungie.
But that's part of Bungie's agreement with them, that Bungie's stuff can go everywhere. That was one of the big things. So unless they start doing that with these other games, unless it's again a first party type one, I don't see that happening. But then you've got the experts that are Bungie. I'm not saying that Destiny is a perfect live service or anything, far from it, but they do have the track record for it. And for them to come in and be like, yeah, Naughty Dog, you might want to roll it back a bit there. That's really saying something right there.
Yeah,
so.
And you know what I think it is that, remember, like Naughty Dog started Factions. It was supposed to come out with Last of Us 2, and then in 2019 they were like, we're actually gonna have to spin it off.
We have a lot that we want to do.
Yeah, we want to do a lot with this. And then what I think happened is they were like, hey, we want to make this its own thing. And Sony was like, great, we're gonna make it a live service. And they were like, okay, like I guess we could do that, is what I'm thinking happened, right? Because you're not gonna tell your executives no. They're like, I guess we could do that. And if like, how the old Factions played out, I mean, it took you a long time to play through like the one, I forget what it was called, right? But one like loop of the Faction like playthrough. It was like 14 weeks or something. And each match was like 1 week. And then in between you had to make like different, choices for your settlement, like, get medicine, whatever. You had to get every match you were trying to get resources for your camp. And the matches could take a long time, right? So you would do maybe like a week. If you played every day, you do like a week, and a week's worth of playing would get you through like one loop, right? And what I assume they were probably setting it up the same way, from the sound of it, because they said they wanted to do like San Francisco. They were probably going to try and do it a big open world thing, but do it like that, which would have been really rad. But I assume they set it up because they said they want the story to be like the experience. Yeah, they wanted it to be the main selling point. And I assume Bungie came and saw that. I was like, oh yeah, but you don't have like cool cosmetics or anything. Like, and they're like, well, no, we're trying to tell a story. And Bungie was like, oh yeah, that's not going to work. And that's what I think
that's going to work for the live service.
Yeah, and it's not. They're right. So. Like, I honestly think Last of Us Factions 2, they should bring it out, can the live service stuff, let it roll out like they want to, and roll the story like on a loop that rolls out over time, and charge like $30 for it. You do that, and that would work. You've made your money. You're not going broke, or you're not just taking the loss on the whole project, which would be terrible. And the people who, I mean, like I've been waiting for Factions 2 forever. Like I have a friend who was like, I'm going to buy a PS5 the second Factions 2 comes out. Yeah, he was like, I'm not getting one until Factions 2, and then once Factions 2 coming out, I will have one, and I will pay for PlayStation Online so I can play it online, and that will be the game that I play. He's like, and I'll probably buy other stuff because like there's some other games that look cool, but that is the one that is going to sell me 100%. Tons of people loved Factions, and Factions was a great multiplayer. It was very hardcore, and there are still people who play the remaster one, because I played that a couple months ago and I found a match in like a minute and a half, right? But as a live service, the
player base is there for it.
Yeah, but as a live service, maybe not. And that is kind of what's concerning, because if Sony's putting so much into live services and their first one that everyone's really excited about is a failure, it's not good.
There is one sliver of hope, in my opinion, is that if they dropped the live service part of Factions, because it's already been known that it didn't start as a live service, unlike Redfall, unlike other games like Suicide Squad and Gotham Knights, right? It didn't start as one. So there is some hope that if they decided to not make that the live service game, let Sony focus on their other live service stuff, then it could do a lot better, I personally think, because again, I'm still personally worried about Suicide Squad. We saw what happened with Gotham Knights. It was clear that was supposed to be a live service game from the beginning. Redfall is the same thing. So hopefully they don't repeat history. But again, the definition of insanity. And it makes me think.
You know, hopefully, you know, with some of these live services coming out, Sony can, because I get it. They're going to themselves like, we're going to lose Call of Duty eventually. It's going to happen.
Right.
There's like everyone would say, oh, Microsoft's pledging to. No, you don't spend $70 billion to not make it exclusive at some point. They're playing nice for 10 years until cloud is up, and then
they play nice for the regulators and everything, and then after that, it's a business, guys. It's a business. You would not do it yourself. Don't even think that you would.
If it was me, in a second, I'm going, I'll do the 10 years. And then I'm sitting on it for 10 years and going, okay, now that this is exactly what's going to happen is in 10 years, Microsoft, basically everything Microsoft, they're going to try and have all this really good IP and they're going to turn it into, you must get it through Game Pass. We're not selling games anymore. It's going to be like Netflix, where you can't buy Netflix shows on DVD. You have to have Netflix, right? Like
it's all through the subscription service.
And that's
exactly what's going to be.
That's what's going to happen, because that's what they do. Like, you can't buy Microsoft Office anymore. You subscribe to Office. Like, that's it, right? That's what's going to happen. And that's going to be their future. Now, whether or not Nintendo and Sony follow that, I hope they don't, because I'm already tired of the subscriptions that I have. Like, I was looking through and going like, some of these I got to cut out because I don't need that much, right? Microsoft has that plan and they're going to go through with it, right? Sony knows that. So that's why Sony's trying to find ways to keep that cash flow consistent. Right now they have Bungie and they're going to have Marathon and they're going to be getting money from all the platforms for that. So that will be helpful, right? Like, and Destiny just does numbers. If you look at, you see a lot of, fanboys on the internet go like, oh, well, PlayStation doesn't have anything that does numbers like Halo or Forza. It's like they have Destiny 2 now.
Halo doesn't do shit right now.
That's 100,000 players at a time. Like, the only thing that Microsoft has with those kind of numbers is Minecraft. Minecraft was already the biggest game in the world long before Microsoft bought it, right? So with that, it's like they're obviously concerned. They're going to lose Call of Duty, a huge revenue stream. They're trying to make up for it with something else. And I hope, because like I want them to make money off of that, because I want the AAA single player bangers. Like, that's would I buy a PlayStation 4? That's why I have like a bunch of Switches around the house, like, because I want to play Mario and Zelda and Kirby. Like, Xbox, like, please put out something that makes me go like, I want to be in your ecosystem too. But like, I want God of War and I want Horizon and I want Uncharted and I want Last of Us and I want that kind of stuff. And I'm hoping that at least one or two of these live services do work out for Sony. Again, live services are hard. So if they can get it, then, hopefully it keeps bringing in some good stuff.
But transferring away from to live service, because as you mentioned in the video beforehand, I am sick and tired of talking about live services. One interesting thing that definitely caught my eye this week was Dolphin and Nintendo. And if you don't know what Dolphin is, it's basically an emulator, which, by the way, is not illegal to have an emulator. It's the ROMs that are the illegal part. But there was some news that Nintendo had asked Valve, essentially, to not put Dolphin on Steam, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Bobby. But now we're finding out that apparently Valve is the one that ratted on Dolphin to be like, nope, you can't be here. Something?
Yeah.
Bobby, give us the details on that.
So what happened is it came out, right, that like a month or two ago, that Dolphin was coming to Steam, like just directly, right? And if you're into emulation, right, I'm into emulation. I've done emulation since like 1998 when I found out I could put a Super Nintendo on the PC. I was like, that's the coolest
Nintendo
thing
does
ever.
emulation for some of its older games, guys.
And
so
yes,
don't think the emulation is
like
illegal.
I have
It's
emulators, legal emulators on my Switch. My Switch has an error code. I picked it up and I don't know what that is. I've never seen that before. But I have emulators on the Switch that Nintendo gives you as part of Nintendo's online, right? Emulators are legal. Yep. ROMs, exchanging ROMs are illegal. ROMs are legal if you have a cartridge and a cartridge reader and you pull the information directly off of your owned cartridge. So if you're doing that, keep it legal. But emulation is fine in my opinion, and it's in fact awesome. So with Dolphin is a GameCube and Wii emulator, right? It used to be only GameCube, but I think it moved up to Wii and maybe Wii
It upgraded to Wii, yes.
Yeah, so it's a very, very big emulator on the emulation scene, and it was coming directly to Steam. Steam already has RetroArch, and I use that on my Steam Deck, right? For the ROMs that I've accumulated over the years legally. And with that, we want to say, like, Dolphin is rad, right? Emulation is rad.
Yes.
But Nintendo slapped the DMCA on the guys who make Dolphin. And everyone was like, oh man, like it was so cool that Dolphin was going to be on Steam. I could just go on, grab it, boom, it's there. And then it was revealed this week that Valve actually emailed Nintendo, was like, hey, just so you know, like they're going to be putting Dolphin on our platform. And Nintendo was like, oh, no. And they
thanks for the heads up, Valve.
They hit him with the DMCA. And Gabe, disappointed, Yep. Man. Like Gabe is like the champion of PC gamers, you know. Gaben, he is Lord, he is life. Gabe is love, right? So hearing that Steam kind of tipped Nintendo off, Nintendo is really not looked favorably upon by the emulation community because they are very hardcore about ROMs and ROM exchanges and stuff like that. And it's within their right to like bust ROM exchanges, right? Like we said,
right,
legal.
But for an emulator though,
but for an emulator is like you're basically faking the stuff, right? And they're saying, well, you're basing it on our hardware, right?
On our hardware, right?
And it's like, yeah, but it's not your hardware at all. It's virtual. Like it's
exactly
like we're making sure that your software works by virtually creating something that will run it, right? But it's not the hardware.
And Nintendo will turn around and use it themselves in their older games and everything. Badly, I might add, badly at it. So.
And it's a thing that really is just, like I said, it's disappointing. Like Nintendo, I expect it from them, and Nintendo really does have some of the most valuable IP in gaming. The Mario movie is really close to breeding out Frozen 2 as like the highest grossing animated movie of all time, which is insane because like everyone was like, oh, Mario movie, that looks dumb when it was first revealed because of like Chris Pratt's, voice acting or whatever. But it has become one of the biggest grossing animated movies of all time, and it may become the biggest, and that's because it has Mario, right? Mario is such a valuable IP. Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom came out in 3 days, sold 10 million copies. I think it's on its way to 15 million now. That was like 2-3 weeks ago. Like, that's insane. That's more than Elden Ring, right? That is more than Elden Ring. And like Elden Ring was like, oh my God, that's phenomenal. Like beyond phenomenal how that game sold. And now Zelda's just like, yeah, you thought,
Hold my beer.
Yeah, hold my beer. I'm just going to go build like a tank and then run over Elden Ring.
Pretty much.
Yeah, like Nintendo has very, very valuable IP, and they have been innovators in the space for a long time. Say what you will about like some of their practices. Like the Switch was a game changer. The Wii was a game changer. The GameCube was really ahead of its time. The N64 like really was the thing that popularized 3D gaming. PlayStation was out first, but the N64, like Mario in 3D, that was world changing. It was enormous. And then first time playing Ocarina of Time was the coolest thing I had ever seen at that point, right? That's why that game is the highest rated game of all time, because at the time nothing had ever done anything at that scale, right? In terms of 3D.
It just sucks to see Valve, all of a sudden found out that they're hoping Nintendo do things that like, it's just like this part of it is not illegal. It's just an emulator. And that's all it is.
What I'm really, really weird about is like, okay, so like, are you gonna do that with RetroArch? Are you gonna do like? There's a lot of tools on Steam, and especially on Steam Deck, and some of them are community tools, but there's a lot of stuff on Steam Deck that lets you emulate and stuff like that, right? Really easily.
Yeah.
And Valve has always been like, hey, it's your property, you like do what you want with it, and now they're kind of being like, oh yeah, except for like if you're emulating Nintendo. That's just it's weird, and it's like I'm hoping they don't attack everything, because that would just kind of suck, right? Like emulation is great because like there's just some game like, and like I said, legally, but like there are some games you literally cannot get legally anymore. You cannot, right?
Can't
So
get them anymore.
I mean, there's no option. Then you have to find them another way, right? With that being said, like if something is not, you know, and I've been a huge Nintendo fan my entire life, and this may get me in trouble with Nintendo if they ever see this, but it is not, or let me put it this way, it is morally acceptable if you cannot purchase something anymore to get it how you need to, if it's something that you want to do and you want to keep like the memory of something alive.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. But I think we'll wrap it up there, guys. But we'll leave you with some quick good news, though, because I feel like maybe we did a little bit too much of some negative news, unfortunately, for this week. But if you're looking for the top games this week that are releasing, we've got some bangers for you. Street Fighter 6 and Diablo 4 have both been reviewing extremely well. We know a lot of people here that are playing Street Fighter 6 right now. They're going to be no life in it.
Sunblade.
Trying to get really good, like Sunblade.
Sunblade's going to do a review, so keep your eyes out for
hopefully.
that.
Yeah,
It'll be like
we already know
$800.
that Diablo's doing extremely well. Our very own Nalar is playing that game currently right now. He's probably streaming it as well, but it's definitely looking good. I'm still a little skeptical on Diablo, waiting to see how the shop thing works. You know, wait for about a few weeks, let the game be out, see what happens there. But overall, it's looking positive, and if it is, I'll be jumping back into some Diablo. I haven't played it in a long time, so definitely looking forward to it. If you guys enjoyed the video, though, make sure you, again, leave a like and let us know down in the comments below. What are your thoughts on all of this news that, you know, has just been happening over the last week? And what games are you playing right now? Are you playing Diablo? Are you playing Street Fighter? Are you playing something else? Let us know all down in the comments below, as always. And if you did not enjoy the video, then we encourage you to leave a dislike and let us know how we can improve our videos going forward. I've been Tallen with 59 Direct, again, joined by the awesome little Bobby. Until next time, everyone, we'll see you all in the next one. Johnny.